Today, we're going to dive into a skill that's often overlooked, but honestly, it holds the power to make or break a leader. It's not about being a great speaker or having all the answers. It's something much deeper. It's the profound ability to truly listen. So, let's explore what deep listening really is.
This statement right here, it cuts straight to the heart of the problem. You see, a leader who can't listen is basically flying blind, like a pilot without a compass. They miss all the subtle cues, the unspoken worries, and the early warning signs that could stop a project or, hey, even an entire company from completely derailing. The stakes really couldn't be any higher.
So, what does effective listening actually mean? Well, according to the Society for Human Resource Management, it is definitely not a passive activity. It demands your complete engagement, both physically and cognitively. You've got to process not just the words being said, but also all the hidden messages in their tone of voice, their posture, their facial expressions, everything, to truly get what they're trying to communicate.
And this really highlights a fundamental shift in mindset. The old way of thinking treats a conversation like a competition, where you're just quiet because you're waiting for your turn to talk. Real listening, though, it's the exact opposite. It's about intentionally silencing your ego to truly make room for another person's point of view.
Okay, so before we can build good habits, we first have to diagnose the bad ones. These next 4 styles are what you might call forms of internal noise. They absolutely sabotage communication and can destroy a leader's credibility. Let's break them down.
First up, we have autobiographical listening. This is that I've seen it all type of leader, the one who filters everything through the lens of their own personal experience. You know, someone brings up a problem and they immediately jump in with, "Oh, that's just like the time I..." It doesn't make people feel understood. It makes them feel like their unique experience is being dismissed. And it's a total innovation killer. I mean, why bother sharing a new idea if your boss has already been there, done that?
Next is what we call ambushing, or the error hunter. This person listens with laser focus, but not to understand. Nope, they're listening to find a flaw, a wrong number, a tiny inconsistency, so they can pounce on it and prove how smart they are. This just turns every conversation into a minefield, forcing people to get defensive. And when that happens, forget about any kind of genuine share.
The third toxic style is defensive listening. This is when someone's ego is so fragile that any feedback, no matter how constructive, is heard as a personal attack. A simple comment like, "Hey, this report could probably use some more data," gets twisted into, "You're terrible at your job." This kind of listening makes growth absolutely impossible, because you can't fix a problem you refuse to even acknowledge.
And finally, we have the most common sin of the digital age, pseudo-listening. Yep, this is multitasking. You're nodding your head, saying aha, but your mind and your eyes are really on an email or a notification that just popped up. This sends a message of profound disrespect. It basically tells the other person, "You are not as important as what is on my screen." And you totally miss all the nonverbal cues, that flicker of doubt in their eye, the anxious tap of a finger, which, let's be honest, is often where the real story is.
So, the big question is, how do we unlearn these terrible habits? Well, the answer lies in what we call the anatomy of deep listening. It's a really powerful framework for building genuine connection.
You see, deep listening isn't just one skill. It's a synchronized process that happens on 3 distinct levels: your body, your mind, and your intellect. When all 3 of these are in alignment, you create this incredibly powerful state of receptivity.
The first layer is all about the physical. Before you can connect on an intellectual level, you have to connect on a physiological one. If their voice gets quieter, you match that. If they lean back, you relax your shoulders. This isn't about mimicking them, it's about creating this subconscious signal of rapport. When you pair that with soft eye contact, it sends a message to their brain that says, "Hey, this person is on my team," and you can literally feel their defensive walls start to lower.
All right, now this is the hardest part: cognitive silence. This means you have to intentionally quiet that internal monologue that's constantly judging what's being said or planning your brilliant response. The moment you hear that little voice in your head say, "Well, that's wrong," you have to consciously shift gears. You have to move from judgment to curiosity and ask yourself, I wonder why they see it that way.
And this third layer is just perfectly illustrated right here. Look, words can lie, but the body? It rarely does. This mismatch between what's said and what's shown, that's called leakage. And when you spot it, you cannot ignore it. It's a huge sign that there's more to the story. A deep listener's job is to gently probe that. Maybe say something like, "I hear you saying you're on board, but I feel like there might be some hesitation. Is there something we're missing?"
Once you can master this internal state of sync, getting your body, mind, and intellect all on the same page, you unlock the ability to perform all those external actions of active listening, like the ones defined by the Center for Creative Leadership. These aren't just techniques you memorize, they become the natural outcome of being in that state of deep listening.
All right, now for the ultimate test. How do you apply all of these skills when you're the one on the receiving end of some really harsh criticism? I mean, how do you listen when it feels like someone is literally throwing bricks at you?
When we get hit with harsh criticism, our brain's natural reaction is to go into fight or flight mode. The cold head protocol is a 3-step mental process designed to help you override that instinct. It helps you stay calm, objective, and in control.
Now, this is incredibly important. The single most critical mental shift you can make is to separate the thing being criticized from who you are. They are not attacking your value as a human being. They're giving feedback on a specific action or a specific piece of work. That distinction, that is your shield. It's what allows you to actually hear the message without feeling personally devastated.
You need to repeat this to yourself. Really burn it into your brain. They are talking about my work. They are not talking about my worth. This mantra creates the mental space you need to hear that tough feedback without letting your ego take over the conversation.
Okay, this is a more advanced technique. Let's face it, people are often terrible at giving feedback. They use emotional, attacking language. Your job is to become a mental translator. In your own head, you translate their personal attack into an objective problem statement. This removes the emotional sting and lets you focus on the actual problem that needs solving.
So, what does all of this actually look like in the real world? Let's walk through a case study that shows the tangible, game-changing impact you get when you shift from toxic listening to deep listening.
Just look at the stark difference here. In the old way, Hung was just listening to find holes in the argument, which led to a complete stalemate. But with the new approach, he practices deep listening. He validates Lon's concerns and works with her to define the problem. And the result? A hybrid solution that works for everyone. Conflict transforms into collaboration. That is the power of listening.
All right, let's do a quick recap of the key takeaways. First, listening is an active, full-body sport, not a passive one. Your first task is to identify and eliminate those 4 toxic listening styles. Then, you practice the 3 layers of deep listening: body, mind, and intellect. When you're facing criticism, use that cold head protocol to stay objective. And the payoff is huge. Better solutions and stronger, more respectful relationships.
So I'm going to leave you with the challenge. In your next important conversation, I want you to try the 3-minute mute. For the first 3 minutes, your only job is to listen and ask clarifying questions. That's it. No opinions, no stories about yourself, no jumping to solutions, just listen. See what happens when you give someone the space to be truly fully heard. I think you'll be shocked by what you discover.